I turned this broken DS Lite into a working Game Boy macro. What's going on, guys? It's Jake here, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a Game Boy macro without soldering. If you don't know what a Game Boy macro is, it's a modified DS or DS Lite that just plays Game Boy Advance games. It gives you a better screen and a more comfortable grip. However, there are a few warnings before we proceed. If you are wanting to do this, I recommend you watch the full video through before you start following along, but you should really do that for any kind of tutorial. You will obviously need a DS or a DS Lite. If you have a broken one or just one that has a broken hinge, top screen, whatever, that's the best way to do it. You'll need a small Phillips head screwdriver, a small tri-wing screwdriver, some electrical tape, and a pair of scissors. Other things you might want handy to clean things up are some isopropyl alcohol and some cotton swabs. Again, this is a no soldering method, so you won't have any speakers in this device. Personally, I don't know of any way to add speakers without soldering. However, the headphone jack will still work, so you won't be completely without sound. That way you can connect an external speaker or just some headphones. Also, this is a tutorial for the DS Lite. If you have the fat original one that you want to use, I don't know if this method will work, but if you want to try, you can follow along and let me know in the comments if it does work. And if you mess up, I'm sorry. I'm not held accountable for your mistakes, but I'm trying to do the best tutorial I can. And I believe we have all the important information out of the way, so let's get started. First things first, we gotta take this bad boy apart. Grab your 2 screwdrivers and let's take out some screws. Let's start with taking off the rubber pads towards the top of the back side of the DS. And under those 2 rubber pads are gonna be 2 Phillips head screws. Then go ahead and unscrew the battery cover with another Phillips head screw. And while you're at it, just take out that battery. Inside where the battery is, there's gonna be 2 more Phillips head screws. Go ahead and take those out. Now grab your tri-wing screwdriver, because we got 4 tri-wing screws to take out. Those are going to be here, 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 and down here. Some of your screws might not want to come out all the way even though they're already unscrewed, but they will eventually fall out when you take off this back cover. So let's go ahead and do that. If it doesn't want to come off, you probably missed a screw. Do not force it. But once you have that off, you can go ahead and remove the L and R buttons because they will be in your way. And there's going to be 1 more Phillips head screw that's going to be on the left side of the motherboard. Now you should be able to pull that motherboard out, but be very careful because your ribbon cable will still be connected to the top screen. There are also 2 ribbon cables connected to that bottom screen. Be very, very careful because these ribbon cables are very fragile. To disconnect the ribbon cables, there are little black pieces that lock the ribbon cable into place, so you're going to want to flip those up in order to eventually pull that ribbon cable out very carefully. I would start by disconnecting the top screen because you won't be needing that. Once you unhook the ribbon cable from the top screen to the motherboard, you can go ahead and set the top screen to the side. You're gonna have to feed it through a little slot in the edge of the DS case, but that is totally fine. Again, just be very careful. They are very fragile, especially if you want to save this. But where we're going, we don't need top screens. Next, I would disconnect the bigger orange ribbon cable for that bottom screen and actually leave the smaller one plugged in. The smaller one is for your digitizer, and it is a pain in the butt to get back in. You can take it out if you want, but sometimes it will be very hard to put back in, so I recommend just leaving it plugged in. But either way, it's a smaller ribbon cable, so you have to be even more careful. But once it's all apart, you won't be needing anything from the top screen, so you can just set that to the side, and if it's still a good screen, you can save it. If it's a bad screen, do whatever you want with it. But this is really the only place where the modding will take place. I'd like to thank this channel right here. It had just a couple thousand views, and this is actually the reason why I'm making this video today. I wanted to make a sort of better version of this video because this method surprisingly works. So what you're going to want to do is get your electrical tape and get that rubber pad for the A, B, X, and Y button. On that rubber pad, there are going to be 4 black dots. Cut one of those black pads out, and you're going to actually tape that down to these 2 gold points on the motherboard. With that electrical tape, you're going to want to apply a little pressure to the rubber to make sure it's covering the 2 gold points. But again, be careful, you don't want to break the motherboards, don't apply too much pressure. If you don't think you put enough pressure on it, don't worry, the case should do the rest for you. Once you got that nice and taped down, you can go ahead and flip that screen back over onto the motherboard and reconnect that ribbon cable. Now, if you want to, it's totally optional, but I put a straw in the middle where the hinge used to be, just to decorate a little bit. I do enjoy having those nubs that hold the hinge together, so I put a straw in there and filled that straw with hot glue so it would be nice and sturdy. There are a ton of cool things you can put in that hinge, or you can just sand those nubs down and make it nice and flush. Really, here's your point to get creative, do whatever you want, or just do nothing at all. But from there, just put it back together as you took it apart and you'll be good to go. The only thing that's going to be a little tricky to put back is the L and the R buttons, so I'll leave the iFixit teardown guide at the bottom. And that's it. Your Game Boy Macro, Game Boy Advance, DS Advance, whatever you want to call it, is it's put together and complete. I'd like to thank a couple people for helping me with this. First, I'd like to thank my cousin Tanner for actually giving me a working DS, because the first time I tried this, I bought a broken DS and I ended up just breaking it even more. And the biggest inspiration to do all of this that kept me motivated and actually personally helped me out with this mod was this guy, Joe Bleeps. I have no idea if Bleeps is his actual last name, but that's his Instagram handle, and he is the creator of the Neon Advance. He was the first person that I personally saw to do this, and he makes some really cool Game Boy macros. He calls them the Neon Advance, which is an awesome name, and it has a glowing light bar where that hinge used to be. Kind of what I'm trying to model here, but obviously not as cool. I'm sure he actually is soldering things with his Neon Advance, but I think that my no solder method is pretty cool too. If I left anything out in this tutorial, I am so sorry. I tried my best to get everything in there, but if there is something I left out and you're stuck at a place in the tutorial, look in the description, look in the comments. I will try and post anything that I left out in one of those spots. But I think I've said everything I need to say, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, listen to Brittany and hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can get 10 years of good luck. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you just want to tell me that you actually did this successfully, let me know in the comments down below that like button. But that's all for me today, so I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys. Oh, you guys are still here? I got nothing funny this time.